fear today, and somewhere or the other, it takes controls of our life. And what was that song? I'm very bad with the lyrics. I have no more fear. I'm no slave to fear.
No longer slave to fear.
I'm no longer a slave to fear. I'm a child of God. How is fear doing in your life? Is it taking too much control of you? So, let's read from the Bible, the Judges. It's about Gideon. I want to talk about Gideon and Judge chapter 6. Let me give you a bit background of the text that I'm about to read. It's about Gideon. Gideon is one of the leader of the Israelites when God delivered them from Egypt. And they were, God was taking care of those people, and the one like Gideon was one of them. And the enemy were becoming so strong, becoming in a big and massive number. So they will come up to the place where the Israelites were living, and they will camp it there, and they will come into the city and the villages. They will take all their food, all their cattle and all those things. So they will take whatever they want, and at the end there was nothing left for them. That was the kind of life they were living. Even though they cultivate, they plant some crops, but those enemies will come and take it away from them. Even though they rear some cattle, before they happen to enjoy or, all those things, they will be taken away. Our life can be something like that. We work for it, but, something like the devil is taking away. Like peace. We want to have peace. We want to have a good and calmful peace life, but the devil will always come and disturb and left us without peace. It was at that time, whenever we read the Old Testament, it is good to try to relate with our own personal life. The enemies and all those things, the killing and all those things, sometimes it might be not so comfortable reading it, but if we think it to ourselves that what the enemy has done in my life, the harm that the enemy has brought into my life, the kind of thing that the enemy spiritually has destroyed in my life, I have no more peace. I don't enjoy life. I don't see anything good in me. I don't see anything positive side of a life. It is because the devil is keep coming into our life and destroy our relationship, our family, our society, every part of our life. The devil will come and destroy, and then we end up saying, what is life all about? Here, let me read Judges chapter 6, verse 11 to 12. Now an angel of the Lord came and sat under the terebinth tree, which was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash Abiezrite, while his son Gideon threshed wheat in a winepress, in order to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, Lord, the Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor, which is to say, mighty warrior. Have you seen a wine press, the old one, like in those times, in the Bible time? It's something like in a big rock, they curve some hole in it, they put grapes and they will just press it with their feet, and they will take the juice out of it. It won't be that big. It might be like a small one, and they just go in and just press the grapes and take the wine out of it, the juice out of it. These days, it's all machines doing it, so you didn't have to do it. In those days, that was the kind of the way they make wine. I don't know whether have you ever seen someone pressing wheat. You know what is wheat? Where do we get wheat from? Wheat, it will be like a plant, is it? Might be this much tall. When it's get dry, the wheat will be still there in the plant. All will be dry. You have to beat it like this to get the wheat out of the, what do you call it? The plant, the stem or whatever it is. So you have to. We do a lot of like rice like that. You need a good space. You need a good space to beat that thing like this. So in a wine press, with such a small, tiny space, he was hiding from the Midianites so that they won't find him and get his wheat from him. So he was hiding and being like this, working. He was hiding from the Midianites. Sometimes that is what we do. We hide the fear that controls us in our life. Like Gideon, we may have that kind of fear within ourselves. That kind of fear which we don't feel like sharing with people. It may be within us. The kind of fear. Like I was just joking, like the kind of a fear as I have because during this summer because of my belly. That can be something that you fear in your life. Oh, I don't want to do that. Don't want to go there. There might be a kind of people who are afraid of flying. There might be people who are afraid of height. There might be people who are afraid of river, water. There can be a kind of a phobia that you are afraid of. So that can be kind of a lot of pressure and stress can take control of our life. Let me read one thing here. A husband went with his wife to see his doctor to hear the results of his medical test. When they arrived at the clinic, the doctor spoke privately, explaining that her husband had a very serious and rare disorder, but with the right care and medication, he would make full recovery. He told her that for the next 12 months, she must do everything her husband says and must not allow him to have any stress. She must never answer him back, agree even if he is wrong, and everything he wants, she should provide. His food must always be ready on time, and the house must be kept clean and serene. She must never argue and always have a smile as she meets his everyday need. When she came out of the doctor's office, her husband anxiously asked, "What did the doctor tell you?" She smiled and said, "The doctor says you are going to die." Can you see that kind of, it's a joke, it's not a real thing, it's a joke, okay, don't take it literally. It's just a joke, but the damage and stress and pressure due to many of us is no laughing matter. We might just laugh over that joke, but the stress and pressure that has done into our life is not something that we laughed about. It damages, it kills us, it ruins us. The fear that we are carrying is killing us. Most of the time, it's killing our life. It's killing our joy. Yeah, there is a natural fear, and which is harmful and then dangerous. For example, fear of height. If you have a fear of height, don't climb up on a high thing. And if you have a medical concern that bothers you, go and see a doctor. That kind of a fear is normal. And there is also a fear which we call godly fear. Godly fear, there is a godly fear that the Bible says that is the beginning of wisdom which is reverential awe of who God is. This fear of God builds us and helps us to grow and in knowing more about God. This kind of fear builds us up. And there is also ungodly fear, I should say. When you have health issues, sometimes ungodly fear is destructive and terrifying. And they seek control of our life. It says that a survey says that in the UK alone, it is estimated that more than 16 million people suffer from anxiety disorder or related. 16 million. So it can be quite true. It is said that knowledge is power. To know something, to gain knowledge is power. But sometimes it can take a different turn. Have you ever Googled, when you have some kind of a health issues, have you ever Googled it? What's the cause of it? What it is? At the end, it may say that it may be cancer. Whatever it is, whether it's your toe, your head, or it says that it may be cancer. So you can end up saying that, oh, do I have cancer? If we believe that, oh, it may be cancer, it takes control of our life, and you may think that, oh, I have a cancer, I don't have much to live. You know, that kind of thing, even though knowledge is powerful, but if knowledge is not covered with the God's truth, it is destructive. The kind of fear can kill us, take away our joy, our relationship with God. That, you know, in knowing God. Like fear, destructive fear comes in three different ways. They come against us to threaten and oppose us. If not dealt with, when they come upon us to oppress and intimidate us. If remain passive and ignorant, they seek to get inside us to control and become part of us. So fear, if we don't deal with it properly with God's truth, they become part of our life. In the Bible, we see that God says, fear not, for I am with you. That means that fear is part of life. Fear is part of life. There are so many things to fear. Sometimes I fear about my children, how they are going to grow up. Who will they get married? Will they get married to a Christian guy or whatever? That kind of fear can be there. It's very much practical. Sometimes I fear that, oh, Margaret might die soon. Some kind of fear. How am I supposed to be without her? That kind of fear. Randomly, it will come into our life. That kind of thought may come into you sometimes. That is very much part of life. God doesn't say that. God doesn't promise a life without fear. It means something which is free from fear. But he said that, fear not. For I am with you. There is something going on, something to be fearful of, but God said, don't worry. I am with you. When we just think that we are alone, I can't solve everything, but God says, I am with you. Don't worry. Don't worry about your life. Carry on. I am here to back you up. I am with you. To have that God on our side, get rid of our fearful most of the time. Sometimes we may be a bit confused with what fright. Fright is something different, and here there was a kind of a story. Like fright is like frightened. It's a sudden fear of something. One person was, he came back to home from Papa, he might have drank a little bit more than he should have. And to take a shortcut to his house, he had to go through a cemetery. On the way to a cemetery, there was a freshly dug grave, so he fell into it. And he tried his best to jump out of the grave, and he gave up. They said, oh, I better wait for the daybreak, and then I will ask for someone to help. And he was trying to sit down and, just to relax. From behind, he heard a voice that you will never get out. And then he didn't know at what point of time that he was outside. It can be like in a fight. You do something, you're so shocked and you're frightened. Fear is something that is taking control into your life, and it breaks you down bit by bit. And one of Hollywood's biggest stars, an actor and comedian, Steve Martin, recalls in his book, Born Standing Up, how he lived to be funny. He became incredibly successful, but it also took a terrible toll on his physical and mentally. He became beset with what he calls internal chaos, the pressure to make people laugh, and the anxiety or fear of not being able to do so. On one European visit, he was asked by the provoking British comedy reporter Dennis Panis, how come you are not funny anymore? Martin became so upset, he canceled all his press interviews and promotional tour and flew back to United States. In his book, Martin says, the final stroke came when he walked off stage during a concert and checked himself into a hospital, which he said was brought on my exhaustion, isolation, and creative anew. While lying on the trolley, confident, he says he was dying. A nurse asked him to autograph the printout of his erratic heartbeat. That kind of fear, not being able to be who you are, be funny. He's a very funny and successful person, but that kind of fear is that, I may not be able to do it, may not be better than himself. So when he was asked that, how come you are not funny anymore? That become a kind of a fear. People doesn't like me anymore. I am not good at anymore. That kind of fear take control of them. Who was that Korean singer who was very famous? Who was dancing like this? Who was that? Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I don't know the name.
What is his name?
Psych.
Psych.
Yeah.
Oh, I know him by Gangnam Style. We have that kind of animation as well, and he was very famous, was very popular. And the album which he released, he released another one, and which is not as good as the previous one. And he was so upset that he was competing himself. He wanted to be better than the previous one, so he get into depression and he isolated himself. Something like that. When fear takes control of our life, rather than building us up, it takes us down the hill. And at the end, all you have is your room and yourself. That's a kind of what fear can do if not handled properly. So, how do we get liberation? How do we free ourselves from that kind of fear? I think we all have that kind of fear, whether we handle it in a good way or in a different way. In Ephesians chapter 6, we say there's what we call it, the armor of God, which we do in the kids' church. Let me just read here. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11 to 13 says, "Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the principality, against power, against the ruler of the darkness in this age, against the spiritual host of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of the evil comes, you may be able to stand on your ground, and after you have done everything to stand firm with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Here we talk about the spiritual war that we are into it. Physically, we may not be in a battlefield, in a war, but spiritually we are in a spiritual battlefield, where the devil will always come and attack us, to pull us down, to make ourselves worthless, to see life in a very negative way. And the more we think, the more we go to that one, there will be no reason to enjoy life, to thank God for. That is what the devil wants us to hate God. And he will throw all the reasons that are, all those kind of thoughts into us. That's why we have to be on our guard and to deal this fear in a godly way. Let me read one more illustration about Joseph's son. Spelling T, son, his son name was for many years a pastor, teacher, and evangelist in his native land, Romania. He's a pastor in Romania in 1972. He began to stand against the communist government, intrusion into the affair of the church, insisting that Jesus alone was Lord over his church. It seems that in Romania, it's somewhere about in 1972, a communist party came up, rise to power, and started trying to take control of the church. And Joseph said that this is not right. Joseph's son said, this is not right. The Lord of this church is only Jesus. We are going to listen to Jesus only. We are not going to listen to a government who is trying to take control of the church. So in 1977, he speak very moving. Where am I? Sorry. He was immediately accused of endangering the security of the state, and spent the next 10 years being harassed, interrogated, and imprisoned. Finally, in 1980, when Joseph and his wife and daughter were permanently exiled from their homeland, he devoted his time to overseeing the translation, the distribution of theological books of Christian in Romania before returning after communism collapsed and becoming the president of the Romanian Missionary Society and president of Emmanuel Bible Institution in Oradea. He speaks very moving of his time in captivity and the torture he endured and how God liberated him from the power of fear. This is where I want to share to you, is that how do we get a liberation from fear? Because, like I said, fear, the thing that we fear in life may be different from each other, but if it's not dealt correctly or in a godly way, they are the king and ruler of our life. So to get liberated from fear, he shared his story. At that time, Romania was a country where the atmosphere was filled with fear and terror. In 1977, he was arrested for treason and told him he would be shot. He said, I just smiled. When he was said that he's going to be shot, oh no. Can you just, sorry. Just leave it. I don't know who is just leave it. He was told that he will be shot because he is against the government. He just smiled. And the interrogator asked why he smiled, and he replied, I am not frightened. I am not frightened. When you shot me, I will go to glory. What a simple answer, because he knew it so well that that is not the end for him. When they shot him, he will die and he will go to glory. That means he will go to heaven, a better place. Far, far better than this place. A place where there is no pain, a place where there is no crying, a place where you don't have to care for your tummy. You know, that kind of place. He knew it well and said, when you shot me, I will die, I'll go to heaven. I don't care. When someone doesn't care to die, they are the most powerful people. Because we are so afraid to die, that means that fear sometimes takes control of us in many ways. So, he says, this was my first liberation from the power of fear. Jesus set us free from the fear of dying. In Hebrews chapter 12:14, we are told that Satan, by the fear of dying, keeps people in slavery all of their life. This is exactly what communism is doing. Putting fear into people's life and taking control of their life. If you don't give up your faith, we are going to shoot you. What will happen to your children? The kind of fear. They have to bow down. The kind of thing, like the devil can do something. If you don't do this thing, what will happen? Will you be able to manage it? Will you be able to cope with life? That kind of fear is like we carry on our back. Even though people can't see it, it's a burden for us. We don't have freedom, we don't have life. Sometimes when we, like even in the worship, like when we worship, the devil will come and stop that, you are not good enough to worship. See? You are not good. That's a kind of a fear sometimes will come, try to take control of our life, so that we don't fully enjoy life with God. The devil is very good in reminding of all those stuffy stuff that will bring it up, try to bring it up and try to make us fear. And he said that he added, my second liberation was when I understood the value of martyrdom. I said to the interrogator, your supreme weakness is killing me. My supreme power is dying. Around the country there are thousands of my tapes and sermons, so if you kill me, they will speak louder and they will be sprinkled with my blood. People will listen and they will be 10 times more powerful. What he said was that your supreme weakness is killing me, my supreme power is dying. My third liberation came in knowing that God's perfect love casts out all fear, which is in 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. He said that it was an amazing moment when I understood those who wanted to kill me were not my enemies. Oh, this is another level. One day he is interrogated to say that when I interrogate people, I feel how much they hate me, and I understand why, but with you it is different. It is a delight to be with you. I told him that I prayed for him. He said, I was liberated from fear because I loved him. As long as we saw them as enemies, we are slaves to them. When we love, we are set free. This is what the power of love, which was done in him. You know, he could maintain that love with God, even in that prison. So with God, even that prison, when they were about to shot him, they saying that we are going to shot you, he still, fear wasn't controlling him. He was controlling of the situation. So, we go back to the life of Gideon. Gideon failed to see God in his life and failed to know him as he was filled with fear. He was full of question because he failed to see God in his life. He was full of question. And even Gideon asked, if God is with us, why then has all this thing has to happen? If God is with us, why about all these sufferings that's happening in my life? See, all our crops has been taken away. All our cattle has been taken away. People have to flee to the mountain, to the cave, and to the stronghold. They are hiding. They can't stay in their house anymore, and they have to flee. And Gideon was saying that if God is with us, why is this happening? I was trying to say that did God answer him? And he didn't answer that particular question. The thing is that when we see life, death is inevitable. We can't erase. I can't live for eternity. There's a point, as I am born to this world, there will be a time when I have to die. That is part of life. That is nature. But without God, to face that is so different. If someone dies that is close to us, if God is not with us, we may see it very different. In the Bible, it says that they are sleeping. They will be awake another time. So, through the lens of God, through the lens of Bible, that is just a kind of a transition from this earth to heaven. So, when Jesus was informed that Lazarus has died, and they said, oh, he's asleep. He's sleeping, he's died. No, he died. He's not sleeping, but that is the way God sees our life, like that. It's like, oh, your life ends here, but we start another one with Christ. That is the way God sees us. We may see it differently if we don't have God in us. We may see it different. Here, the Gideon see all the problems, all the Midianites that comes and attack us, that torment us. But God says that no, he was not a brave person. He was not a strong warrior. But it was God who called him, saying that you are a mighty warrior. Sometimes we may think that we are a loser. We are not good enough. I am not good enough. I don't look good enough. I don't have a good, anything good. But here, like I was just saying, he was not a mighty warrior. He was hiding in a wine press, trusting that the way we see ourselves is not how God sees us. The way Gideon sees himself is like, he's a very weak person. He doesn't have value. He's not good enough. But God said, you are not. You are a mighty warrior. If you go by this faith, you will be able to, with all these Midianites. That is what we have. We have to start with God in dealing with all the fear that is in us. Like when we started, I was talking about a marble. It's become a good illustration today. The broken guitar. Is there anything that controls your life like a kind of a fear, which is not from God? God said, bring it to me. Let me help you repair it. I can fix your life. There is nothing in our life which God cannot fix. God can fix us. Even though we are not perfect. It is Christ who shared his righteousness with us so that we can be righteous. God gave us the truth, like the armor of God. God gave us the truth, his righteousness, and all those things. If we go live by it, that is. God says that fear not, for I am with you. The word of God is with us. God is with us. So let fear not control our life. Let God be the one who take control of our life and set us free, so that we will have the freedom of life. Thank you.